Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was, of course, the sequel to the 2020 film, which was a surprise. It was a very shocking surprise over what Sonic was. Because we looked at the trailers, the whole thing about the redesign, how they make Sonic look very realistic, like what he would really look like. And a lot of people was like, Uncanny Valley, do not like, he's horrible, he's terrifying, what the hell is that? Please go back to the video game site, and they did. And the end result of the movie, it wasn't that bad. Like, look, I don't have kids, I don't have siblings, I don't have any of that situation. But if I had to guess, like, if you were dragged because of young children to see the first movie in theaters, you would not be like, oh my god, what is this movie? Why am I getting dragged into watching this? Why did I pay my money because of this? Like, it isn't one of those family movies. So, understandably so, a bunch of us is like, shit. It's oddly surprised. One, it's weird that maybe the best video game movie is Sonic the Hedgehog, but I'm looking forward to a sequel? Okay, and the sequel's out. I just went and saw it, and I will say this movie is not as better than the first one. I do prefer the first one, and clearly with this movie, it is targeted towards a more younger demographic. It could as easily be Tails is in it, Knuckles is in it, and it's diving back into its video game roots. So it could be the whole thing, like, the more video game-ish they go with this franchise, the more it's like, okay, clearly this is for a younger demographic. But the film itself is not bad. It's not horrible. It's just fine for a sequel. There's certain things in it that I'm like, like Sonic referencing every single pop culture thing in the history of mankind every 2 minutes. Did got very tiresome, like at halfway. Like, Winter Soldier, him mentioning about the Vin Diesel, the Rock feud, so on and so forth, to the point it's like, oh my god, Sonic, can you say other things that isn't a pop culture reference? I like pop culture references, but come on, Sonic, let's deal with, say something else. You have this this movie is 2 hours and 2 minutes. With some films, that's great, right? For a film like this, and the movie that we got, 2 hours and 2 minutes is way too long. There's a good 15 minutes of this movie that's halfway. This thing with a bridezilla, with a wedding, with Men in Black FBI agents. That could easily be cut out. That I was like, what are we doing here? Why? Let's go back to the main plot. This feels like a side plot that is unnecessary and is to the point we don't understand why this is here. This should be cut out. And that's like a good 10 minutes of the movie. But the rest of the movie, as I say, is more definitely a more targeted to a younger demographic. But the stuff that does work. I mean, the dynamic between Sonic and Tails, the dynamic between a Buckwheat, who's played by Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey, I prefer Jim Carrey from what he did in the first film, but he's still, it's Jim Carrey, still Jim Carrey, he's great, got a couple of chuckles out of me, it's all good. But the dynamic between Dr. Buckwheat and Knuckles, which of course leans into the dynamic between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, that works. The mystery plot, the Indiana Jones type aspects and things, there's a little bit of intrigue towards it. It's just it's one of those movies that I just it's fine. The action's really well done. The action's really well put together. It's a more heavily action driven movie than the first film was. Like you had the action sequence like nearly at the end and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, there's certain things that you find in family films that are like, okay, there's like a dance off where like, oh, someone you can tell think they have to fight this guy. Oh no, it's a dance off, and then you're just like, okay, sure. It's and in 2024, because I think they have announced a Sonic 3. Am I going to watch it? Yeah, because this and all that. But I think what this movie has done is like, okay, see the sequel in the theater because you quite enjoyed the first film, but now the third film comes along and you're like, I'm kind of happy to watch it at home, because of how like feels like they're kind of leaning towards the more gaming side of the franchises. It is, I think so. Sonic is one of those four quantum characters. He, it's going to probably just go to a more younger audience than it is going to go the Pixar route. It's just going to go like, chill, which is not bad. Not every film is meant to be for me. Different demographics, all that. But yeah, it's a fine movie. Not good, not bad, but fine on itself.